proceedings shall commence with presentation of a bill of a report. There shall be consideration of bills, consideration of a report, and bills for concurrence. The first on our list is going to be sponsored by Senator Balu Shetu from Jigawa Northeast. It's on the report of the Committee on Water Resources, National Water Resources Establishments ETC Bill 2018 SB 479. And here, the second on consideration of bills is going to be sponsored by Senator Mustapha Bukar from Katsina North. And it's all about a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute and for other related matters, 2018 SB 452, which is going to be about second reading. And still, he will be taking on all the two, another consideration of the bill. Perhaps he will take much of the floor to this morning. It's all about a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic, Daura, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science management, and all the field of studies, and to make provision for the general administration of the Polytechnic and for other related connected hearing 2018 SB 465, second reading. Now you get the detail as the proceedings commence proper. This is NAS Television. You can always subscribe to us by Facebook and YouTube. And getting us on our Facebook, all you need to do is to type Nigeria Senate and then click on to search. And then our website is www.nas.gov.ng. And then we'll unfold what transpires in the chamber. Please do not go away. The proceedings will start in a short while. Good morning, I'm Christy from NAS Television.
Senator Dylan Malaye, the Nigerian Senate does not sit by state caucus. Senator Dylan Malaye, please move to the party aisle that you belong. Senator Dylan Malaye, formerly of PDP, now APC, please move to your seat. Senator, Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, you owe it to your eye to dismiss an impostor in your midst. You have not received him. You are always opposing people moving across aisles. No, I'm not welcome. I'm not a lawyer. Excellency Senator Abiodun Olujimi, you know very well that I'm not a lawyer. Senator Yusuf of Taraba, God bless you. Senator Benga Shafa, Lagos East. You are welcome as you take your seat. My favorite cowboy, Senator Adokwe of Nasarawa. Thank you for taking your seat.
Senator Adeye, please take your seat. The Chief Whip of the Senate, can you take your seat, please?
Distinguished Senate President, you should have protected me from the harassment of the leader of the Nigerian Senate. Senator Iena Abaribe, Excellency, Elder, yes, you are Excellency, you are Deputy Governor. Your Excellency, from Kano, distinguished Senator Rabiu Kwankwan, so you are welcome. You know it's enough now.
Thank you, Chief Whip of the Federation. Votes and proceedings of Wednesday, the 7th of March 2018, page 2077, 2078, 2079, 2080, 2081, 2082, 2083, 2084, 2085, 2086, 2087, 2087, 2088, 2089, 2090, 2091, 2092, 2093, 2094, 2094, 2095, 2096, 2097, 2098, 2099, 2100, 2101, 2102, 2103, 2104, 2105, 2106, 2107, 2108, 2109, 2110, 2111, 2112, 2113, 2114, 2115, 2116, 2117, 2118, 2119, 2120, 2121, 2122, 2123, 2124, 2125, 2126, 2127, 2128, 2129, 2130, 2131, 2132, 2133, 2134, 2135. Senator Yusuf, yeah, Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. May I move that the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 7th March 2018 be adopted? So I move. Thank you.
Very well, thank you. Senator Jume.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 7th March 2018 be approved by the Senate. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, the 7th day of March 2018 be now approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Announcements. Distinguished colleagues, yesterday we agreed to set up a committee, an ad hoc committee, to investigate the issue raised by Senator Gembe in respect of his governor, and is to announce the composition of the committee. James Manager will be the chairman. Other members of the committee are Senator J.T. Seni, Senator Amma Misau, Senator Kabiru Marafan, Senator Solomon Alamirekun Yari, Senator Matthew Orogede, and Senator Chukwuka Otaze. Further announcements. Distinguished colleagues will have here today to witness our proceedings staff and students of Vine Care School, Gadwa Estate in Abuja. We also have staff and students of Joseph Jorin International School, Kubwa, and staff and students of Apex Star Academy, Pada Nasarawa State. You are most welcome. On behalf of the Senate, I wish you a fruitful observation of today's proceedings. You're welcome. Please settle down. Senator Leader. Yes, Senator Adokwe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Suleiman Adokwe. I represent Nasarawa South Senatorial District. My point of order is on the approach to with the permission of the President and the matter of urgent public importance. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of today's sitting. And the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless it is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. If the claim is allowed by the President of the Senate, the leave of the Senate is given by at least 1/5 of all senators. The matter shall stand over to the next legislative year. Mr. President, I had intimated you earlier on about the demise of the former governor of Nasarawa State, late Alhaji Aliyu Akwedoma, who was governor of Nasarawa State from 2007 to 2011. He died recently in a hospital in Israel. His corpse is yet to be brought. I could have come by way of personal explanation, but because of the standing of the deceased and the desire of my colleagues to also pay their tribute, we thought we should come with a substantive motion to give them opportunity to also comment on the times and lives of this gentleman. If the Senate will approve for me, we will bring a substantive motion in the next legislative year. I so move, sir.
Distinguished colleagues have listened to Senator Adokwe, intends to bring a motion, and in accordance with our rules, we still put the question. Those support that this matter be stood down to another day and be taken as a motion. Those support say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. So probably we can take it next week. All right, thank you. Okay, David.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, my good friend, the Lion. Mr. President, I come under Order 42 and 52. With the permission of the Mr. President, I read what I think it has read. Order 42. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Order 52 is notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the Senators. Mr. President, I had discussed this issue with you and having to do with the fire disaster of the Bidda market. The matter had actually was discussed with the Senate President together with myself and by both myself and Senator Mustapha. I would, with the permission of the Mr. President, move a motion in that respect.
So you want us to take the motion today? Well, this colleague, he mentioned this to me. I think it's going to be a brief motion, so we'll just take his presentation and somebody seconds and then we'll go to the prayers. Is that all right? Those in support that will take the motion today say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. So tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. This is a motion on the fire disaster that destroyed the Bidda Central Market in Niger State. This motion is being supported by Senator Mustapha of Niger South Senatorial District. The Senate notes with sadness and grief the tragic fire incident that razed down over 600 shops at Bidda Central Market on Thursday, the 1st of March, 2018. The Senate recalls that this unfortunate incident has left the people of Bidda and indeed the entire people of Niger State in anguish and agony as goods and property worth hundreds of millions of naira were lost to the inferno. Aware that the Bidda Central Market is a major center for trade and commerce in Niger State, considering its strategic location and volume of goods and commodities traded, which include farm produce, building materials, poultry products, textiles, etc., and also services consumers both within and outside the state. The Senate is aware that the destruction caused by this inferno has rendered thousands of traders and retailers jobless without any means of livelihood. The Senate observes that the palliative measures required to rebuild and resettle the affected traders is beyond the capacity of Bidda Local Government Council and indeed Niger State Government. The Senate is convinced that there is an urgent need to draw the attention of the federal government and its relevant relief agencies to this unfortunate fire incident that has consumed the populace and hit the nerve center of not only the Kinupe, but the entire Nigerites. The Senate accordingly resolves, 1, commiserate with the affected traders of the Bidda Central Market, Esinupe Alaji Yahaya Abubakar CFR, Bidda Local Government Council, and indeed the government and people of Niger State over the fire disaster. 2, urge the Niger State government to work with relevant local government councils in the state to improve on sanitation, water supply, and safety measures within and around the markets, offices, and the public facilities in the state to minimize loss of property to fire incidents. 3, urge the Niger State government to equip and train the Niger State Fire Service for effective response to fire incidents and improved sensitization of the masses on fire safety. 4. Urge the President to offer special financial intervention to Niger State government to enable the state government rebuild and re-establish the affected traders. 5. Urge the National Emergency Relief, Management Agency, NEMA, and other relief agencies and philanthropists to offer assistance to the affected traders. I so move.
All right, thank you. Senator Dino.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, Dino Melai, Kogi West, I rise to support this very important motion moved by my brother and colleague, Senator David Umaru, and I will use this opportunity to commiserate with the people of Bida, the traditional institution, and the local government council, and we do hope that the prayers in this motion will be granted by my colleagues. I so second.
All right, thank you, distinguished colleagues. As I said, it's a straightforward motion. I'd like to join Senator Dino to, on behalf of the Senate, send our deepest sympathy to the great people of Niger State and all the affected areas for the inferno that consumed a lot of properties. I think it is time for us to take preemptive actions to ensure that we minimize losses in times such as this. So, and because of our climate, so we are prone to this kind of disaster. So we must be able to make effort to ensure that we are ready to contain some of these things when they happen. So once more, accept our deep sympathy about the losses. Now, prayer 1. Commiserate with the affected traders of Bida Central Market, the Sunupe, Alajaya, Bukar, CFR, Bida Local Government Council, and indeed the government and people of Niger State over this fire disaster. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Prayer 2. Urge the Niger State government to work with relevant local government councils in the state to improve on sanitation, water supply and safety measures within and around markets, offices and other public facilities in the state to minimize loss of property to fire incidents. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Prayer 3. Urge the Niger State government to equip and train the Niger State Fire Service for effective response to fire incidents and improve sensitization of the masses on fire safety. Those in support of this say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Prayer 4. Urge the President to offer special financial intervention with the Niger State government to enable the state government rebuild and re-establish the affected traders. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. And finally, urge the National Emergency Relief Management Agency, NEMA, and other relief agencies and philanthropists to offer assistance to the affected traders. Those in support of this say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Senate Leader. Order of order, Senator Dino.
Mr. President, my very, very respected colleagues, my name is Dino Melai, Kogi West. Mr. President, sadly this morning, I draw spiritual strength from Order 42 of the standing rules of the Senate. Mr. President, just yesterday, the issue of Kogi State was raised on in this chamber, where my brother and colleague representing Kogi Central intimated the Senate on how hoodlums, hired thugs, and vigilantes are being used in Kogi State to commit serious havoc. Mr. President, due to my private investigations, I got a very serious revelation yesterday. And I am so happy that the committee constituted by the Senate, under the leadership of the ranking, efficient, intellectually mobile chairmanship of James Manager from Delta. Mr. President, few days ago, the Nigerian custom intercepted sewn military camouflage, sewn military camouflage with bowler hats, many bulletproof vests, protective headgears, night vision goggles, tactical boots, tactical knapsacks, training canvas, boxing gloves with bodyguard equipment, socks and military belts, etc., etc. These items were intercepted by the Nigerian Customs because they did not come with end-user certificates. When you are bringing military equipment into the country, they must come with end-user certificates certified by the National Security Advisor of this country. Upon the seizure of these items, Mr. President, one Jerry Omodara, who is the SA security to the governor of Kogi State, went to the custom officers and told them that these items belong to Kogi State government, and even gave them his complimentary card that he is the SA security to the government of Kogi State. Jerry Omodara presented himself physically before the customs. And the name of the company that imported these items, Mr. President, is SEC Communications Nigeria Limited. And I have done a search in the Corporate Affairs Commission, and from CO5 I've revealed the owners of the company, also connected with Kogi State government. Mr. President, these items, as I speak, already a detention notice has been placed on them by the Nigerian Customs. And as at last night, Mr. President, up to this morning, these items are with NACO in the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport here in Abuja. Mr. President, I hereby move this morning a motion that the Vibrant Committee constituted this morning under the chairmanship of the ranking Senator James Manager move immediately to the airport custom office and NACO to make sure that these items are there, they are not moved, and this is properly investigated. Because I have raised before that militias were being armed by the Kogi State government. Militias were being equipped to create havoc in Kogi State. This is a fundamental evidence, and I want this committee to move swiftly, because I have so much belief, especially in the leadership of this committee, to unravel the mystery behind this seizure. Democracy will continue to be democracy. A situation where a governor is already importing military uniforms, sold, and other gadgets, when he is not a contractor in the Federal Ministry of Defense, Mr. President, is a dangerous trend. And the Senate was indeed right yesterday when they said Yaya Bello is a threat to democracy. Mr. President, my motion is that the committee inaugurated this morning move swiftly to the custom office in the airport and to the NACO office to physically inspect these items and investigate this matter and question everyone concerned, especially the SA of security to the governor, who already has submitted himself to the Nigerian Customs. Mr. President, I so move.
Well, distinguished colleagues, it came under order 43, and this appears to me to be a very serious matter, because as we approach 2019 and now have this kind of information that arms are being imported by politicians, I think I get worried, and I believe I speak on behalf of all of us here. There's a very dangerous trend and a major threat to our democracy. So I just want to use the opportunity to appeal to politicians and their supporters to also remember that we have no other country than this. If we destroy this country, I think all of us will suffer it. So we need to do whatever possible we can to ensure that we keep the waters of democracy clean. So the issue of violence will not help any person. So, but let us just believe that this may not be the true facts. But because they have been raised, I think it is important for avoidance of doubt to ensure that we look into this and then be able to know what is true and what is not true in the circumstance. So I just want to inform this manager that we've earlier set up a committee this morning, which you are going to chair. So now that this matter has been raised, I just want to suggest that as soon as possible, we look into this particular issue, the additional facts provided by this morning, just to ensure that there is no such importation. If there is such facts, please let us know as soon as possible, so that also we'll get the relevant authorities to take action that will be able to neutralize the use of such equipment. So thank you. Senate Leader. Yes, Senator Oba.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Obi Oba, my name, I represent the good people of Ebonyi Central Senatorial District, Ebonyi State. Mr. President, I rise under 43. May I have your permission to read?
Go ahead and put back your microphone.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there will be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I arrived this morning to bring to the notice of the Senate that there is a plan by some people in this Senate, maybe under the leadership of my distinguished colleagues, particularly Senator Adam. Mr. President, you remember in January, distinguished Senator Misham made a comment here that there was a plan to remove the Senate President and in fact the leadership. Now, I had reliable information that some people are already planning to destabilize this Senate, including the Senate leadership, by organizing demonstration of which money is already exchanging hands. Mr. President, I believe that all of us are all leaders in this country, and anybody who sees anything that will destabilize the country or the Senate or even the democracy should avoid it. As we are here, if there's any issue that is going on, you have the opportunity to raise it. Not to go outside the chambers to start planning civil organizations, market women to come for a demonstration against the leadership of the Senate. Mr. President, I want this matter to be investigated properly. I have evidence to show what I'm saying. There's a telephone discussion going on, which can also, any other person can also print it out, between distinguished Senator Adam and some other people. Mr. President, this is a very serious issue. When distinguished Senator Michel raised it in January, we didn't take it as anything. I am saying this, we must have to stand up to look into this. If we treat it with a wave of hand, when it will happen, I will say, I already said it. Mr. President, if I have your permission, I may lay my documentary evidence. Thank you.
Go ahead and let the document you have. All right, thank you. Well, let me just quickly also add that the difference between military regime, autocratic regime, and any other kind of repressive regime is the parliament. So once you remove the parliament, then you're going to have problem. So whatever we do, we must continue to preserve the sanctity of the parliament. So I just want to appeal again that any person who is interested in destabilizing this country is not doing us any good. So we've received this information from Senator Daura. So for whatever it is worth, I think we'll appropriately refer it to our committee on petitions to look at and then report back in 2 weeks. Thank you. Yes, Resumption.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Biodun Oluji, Ekiti South. Mr. President, I come under Order 42 and 52. And if you allow me, I'll read them. With your kind permission. Please be seated. The matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And then notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceedings for which notice is required, except to the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the Senators present. Mr. President, today is a day designated as the International Women's Day, and it's a day to talk about women and children and their development in Nigeria. Because
let us get the permission of the Senate for you to proceed. Well, the colleagues, Mr. Olujimi has raised this matter with us. So if it is the wish of the Senate, that will allow her to present a motion. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. But it appears she's the only woman here today.
And my distinguished gender-sensitive colleagues. Mr. President, I stand in for Senator Binta Masagara, who is absent and is the chair of the Committee on Women Affairs, and all the sponsors, Senator Stella Odwa, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, Senator Monsura Sumono, Senator Fatima Raji Rasaki, Senator Rose Boko, and of course, our dear members of the committee, Senator John Eno and Senator Yeli Omogwa. The Senate notes that March 8th is the International Women's Day, a day that honors the achievements and calls attention to the rights of women. Further notes that the theme of this year's celebration is Press for Progress Now, with a particular focus on gender parity. Observes that in 2015, world leaders adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, placing gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls at the heart of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This year's International Women's Day focuses on Goal 5, which is centered on gender equality, to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls by the year 2030. Further observes that achievement of the goals, including ending poverty, promoting inclusive and sustainable economic growth, reducing inequalities within and between countries, and achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls, rests upon unlocking the full potential of women through the instrumentality of education. Recalls that the International Women's Day, IWD, was first officially recognized in 1911 and later recognized by the United Nations in 1975. In 1995, over 189 countries, including Nigeria, converged in Beijing, China, for the 4th World Conference on Women and signed an action plan called the Beijing Declaration. Aware that policies are needed to promote women's access to education, innovative technologies and practices, decent work and climate resilient jobs, and protect women from violence in schools and workplaces. Further aware that the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, the VAP Act, that was signed into law in 2015 is yet to be domesticated in any state of the Federation. Concerned that the implementation of policies that prohibits violence against women and girls and promote girl-child education is still very poor. Practices such as violence against women and girls in the public and private spheres, including trafficking, sexual and other types of exploitation, early child and forced marriage, female genital mutilation are still being practiced. Further concerned that the spate of girl-child kidnappings in Nigeria has assumed an alarming dimension. On the 21st of February 2018, the nation was shocked with the news of the kidnapping of 110 schoolgirls from the Government Girls Science Technical College, Dapchi, Busari local government area of Yobe State. This incident is reminiscent of the 2014 Chibok girls abduction, in which 113 of the girls are still in captivity almost 4 years later. Worried that a pattern is gradually being established, which clearly indicates that the objective of Boko Haram insurgents is to deprive young girls of school age from pursuing education. Further worried that if this ugly trend is not checked, the girl-child education, which is part of the objective of goal number 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, would have been lost in Nigeria even before the 2030 target year. Accordingly resolves to felicitate with Nigerian women and girls on this year's International Women's Day celebration. 2. Mandate the Senate Committees on Police Affairs, Security and Intelligence to summon the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Army Staff to brief the Senate on the actual situation of things regarding the kidnap and, in addition, present clear and operational strategies to rescue the remaining Chibok girls and the Dapchi schoolgirls. I so move.
Okay. Yes, I do. Are you a woman? Why are you insisting on seconding emotion?
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. My name is Senator Atai Aidoku Ali. I represent Kogi East. Thank you, Mr. President. And I will say, Mr. President, I'm half woman because I have a lot of respect for women, and some part of me really feel like a woman. Yes, Mr. President. That is out of the love I have. Mr. President, I rise to second this motion because of the fact that today is a very important day, not only in the life of women, but in the life of men, because without a woman, Mr. President, we will not all be here. Therefore, anything that will be dedicated to women, Mr. President, needs the support of this Senate. We're all aware that as men, we're committed to our parents, our mother, our sisters, our wives, and so on. We're surrounded by women. Our life is controlled by women, but we don't know it. We are just living in denial, Mr. President. So on this day, I rise to support our women. I rise to support women all over the world. I rise to support our family, women, and I urge the Senate to rise as a team, to rise as a Senate to support women. Because, Mr. President, women are so
marginalized in this country. Women are shortchanged. Women's rights are denied. The life of women are continually being under threat in this country. It is in this country that you find out that the target of terrorists is women. The Chibok girls has not even settled down. We have now recovered half of the Chibok girls. Now we have another 110 girls from Dachi they are taking. And the information we have is even where you have castle rustlers, a committee of the Senate at one point went to Zamfara State. They reported to us that there were about 1,000 women that are captives somewhere in Zamfara State at that time. The terrorists, yes, it was a committee of the Senate before that said that the number of women in captive by rustlers are about 1,000 at that time, both married and unmarried women. So, Mr. President, as a nation, we need to have an agenda to not only support our women, to liberate them from the threat. This is a potential threat for women in this country. And we can't sit down as a nation and pretend that all is well. This is the only country where women are continually being marginalized. And elections are coming. We need to protect our women. Mr. President, I will use this day to show our solidarity for women. I have a personal support for the women, and I urge and I commend our minority whip for bringing this to the fore. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Well, distinguished colleagues, I want to thank Senator Lujimi for bringing up this matter, and also thank the United Nations for setting aside a day for us to celebrate our women. But sincerely, I think in Nigeria we need to celebrate our women every day, because Nigerian women are just unique, and we're indeed very proud of them. They've shown resilience, and the accomplishments, as far as I'm concerned, is unequaled. Our women have demonstrated competence and professionalism in the judiciary, in the engineering field, in all endeavors of human beings. So we must also commend them that in spite of the work they do in their various offices and vocations, they still find time to take care of their homes, take care of the children, the husband, relations, and then still show love to all of us. So I want to say congratulations to our women on a day like this. We owe you a whole lot of gratitude, and we'll continue to pray for you, also continue to support you to ensure that you achieve even more in the society. And the more we have more women in leadership positions, I'm sure the better it is for this country, because the honesty of the women has been exemplified, in those of them that had held very responsive positions in this country. So the best we can do is to encourage more women to get into leadership positions. It is a shame that up to now in our history we don't have women as governors. So we hope that in 2019 that some states should consider electing women as their governors. So congratulations to all the Nigerian women. So let's go straight to the prayers. Felicitate with the Nigerian women and girls on this year's International Women's Day celebration. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Mandate the Senate Committee on Police Affairs, Security and Intelligence to summon Inspector General of Police and Chief of Army Staff to brief the Senate on the actual situation of things regarding the kidnap, and in addition present clear operational strategies to rescue the remaining Chibok and Baptist school girls within 2 weeks. Those in support of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, the first business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Water Resources on the National Water Resources Establishment EDC Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Ubali Chiku, Chairman of the Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Yes, go ahead. Senator Shitu.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I would like to move the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Water Resources on the National Water Resources Establishment ETC Bill 2080 SB 479 to late. I so move.
Senator Dokwe.
I I second the motion so moved.
All right, thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in support that will now receive this report say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You can proceed to lay the report, please. All right. Thank you. Snake leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Nigerian Building Road Research Institute Establishment ETC Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 22nd day of March 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mustapha Bukar to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Bukar.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move the motion that the lead debate on a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, NIBRI, 2018, to build capacity to conduct integrated applied research and development in roads, building, and engineering material sectors of the Nigerian economy, be read for the second time.
Go ahead.
Distinguished colleagues, I thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute Bill 2018. The bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 22nd of March 2017. The Nigerian Building and Research Institute, NIBRI, was established as an autonomous organ of government under NSTDA Decree of 1997, Research Institute Establishment Order 1977, supplement of Official Gazette number 49, volume 64, 13th of October 1977. The Institute officially took off on the 1st of April 1978 under the then National Science and Technology Development Agency, which later on metamorphosed to today's Federal Ministry of Science and Technology. Where the Institute has remained as a parastatal with a Director General as Chief Executive Officer to date. The vision of NIBRI is to evolve and use a comprehensive and integrated approach in appropriate technology development and transfer, sustainable capacity building and investment promotion, so as to foster the application of environmentally friendly, energy-efficient, innovative construction materials, manufacturing technologies, and cost-effective building road construction practices. It is hoped that these innovations will enhance job creation, wealth generation, and poverty reduction, as well as nurture the emergence of vibrant, knowledge-based, and highly competitive indigenous construction companies capable of meeting global standards. The mission of NIBRI is to improve the quality of life of Nigerians in the area of affordable housing and increase economic empowerment through applied integrated research and development, capacity building, and robust extension services in which technological innovations and knowledge-based practices in the fields of building, roads, and engineering materials are enshrined. The rationale for the new bill. Since the decree establishing NIBRI in 1977, the world has witnessed lots of transformations and innovations in science and technology and engineering. In roads and building, numerous advances have been made in construction materials and construction techniques, while progress in engineering disciplines have led to the emergence of new ideas, new approaches, new education methodologies, new research and development mechanisms and equipment, nanotechnologies, green construction solutions and materials, as well as associated progress in space, computer, ICT, and the rest of it. Furthermore, International peer review mechanism dictates the integration of philosophies of Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and national visions, including the 2020 vision, into documents of government. And the need, therefore, to have an establishment act for NIBRI is long overdue and necessary. NIBRI existing laws have remained the decree contained in the NSTDA decree, as I mentioned earlier on. The passage of this bill, therefore, will enable the establishment, structure, mandates, and powers of the Institute to be captured in a single, readable, and usable document. It will become an agency that can sue and be sued. The bill of the Institute defines an organ of government that has clearer and more explicit and responsive organization with very visible identity. Has a clearer establishment and composition of governing board that takes cognizance of the special roles of the Institute by empowered, and it also empowered Mr. President to appoint the cabinet board composition related to roads and the building environment, including Federal Minister of Industry. This will now be part of the board. Trade and investment, in addition to its parent Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, will add Federal Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development for a supervision structure. This is expected to propel the popularization for commercialization of its research and development innovation, because these ministries will actually also benefit from the research and development of NIBRI. And it will inject cognate professional regulatory bodies into the Institute's supervision structure. We have heard about the road construction and also buildings in Nigeria, and I think it is high time that we have developed local capacities that we can have alternatives. The bill has clearly defined terms of office of all appointments and peculiar conditions not general to all research institutes are also well spelled out, because this is a specialized institute. Enshrined the function and powers of the board and the institute are enshrined where the structure of the institute are presented and enumerated. Further defined additional mandates to emphasize conversion of systems and processes from research and development outcomes into engineering materials in building and road sectors to accelerate the rate of evolution of indigenous construction, building, operation, and methods. Emerging and affordable, user-friendly, bespoke technologies. Mandate the Institute to publish the result of the research and development on building, roads, and engineering materials in the construction sector is also emphasized as a research and development outlet to get innovation to the society, to harness to job creation, wealth generation, and poverty alleviation. And also urge NIBRI to encourage and promote the commercialization of research and development innovations and promote cognate bespoke laboratories in the construction sector. So these are necessary in order to improve the materials and utilization of this. Encourage the Institute to assist and develop local talents in its mandate area, collaborate with other relevant organs like tertiary education sector, agencies, council, etc. Mandates NIBRI to develop alternative construction materials, computer, mathematics, and pure science research and development are given a presence to complement and support activities in the building, road, and engineering materials sector. And clearly define the involvement in certification processes for national quality assurance purposes, as is the case in other international institutes of roads and buildings. Violation Compendium. In compliance with Order 77.3 of the Senate Standing Orders of the Senate 2015 as amended of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with respect to the procedure of bills, a compendium and consolidation, which states inter alia that on the introduction of a bill, A compendium on background information and financial implication of such bills if passed into law shall be delivered to all senators. The following compilation with regard to the aforementioned bill is hereby presented law. Distinguished senators, Mr. President, it is important to note that NIBRI is not a new agency. It exists since 1977. Therefore, the financial compendium shows the existing budget for 2017, which is summarized below as overhead costs, recurrent and capital expenditures. In conclusion, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the Nigerian Build, Road and Search District Bill has been long overdue for review. To dissolve the old NIBRI law and establish a new NIBRI law will go a long way to inject new and contemporary research and development vision to derive innovations that will propel the nation into the global arena in the building, roads and construction sectors to drive the Nigerian economy forward. As to why unexplored research and development extensions to green processes, nanotechnologies and emerging solutions will now be within the purview of talented and adventurous young Nigerian researchers and research officers. The encouragement of the Institute by approving this bill to be enacted into law will lead to unassailable achievements in the sensitive and the essential sectors of home and housing, ownership, and road infrastructure. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in view of the foregoing, I urge you to support the speedy passage of this bill. I thank you very much.
Mr. Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, let me first of all commend distinguished Senator Mustapha, Bukar, the Madawakin of Daura, for this initiative. Reason being that this bill has been one of the most innovative bills to be presented before the Senate. Nigeria should be thinking far ahead. We should be futuristic in what we do. Now, if you look at the content of the bill and the necessary intendment, you say that we have moved far away from where we are with research and development about building an environmentally friendly cities. And that for us, for Nigeria to gain benefit of that, we must equally move along that line in respect of construction of our roads, construction of our houses, including the airports, which he has not mentioned. And I think that it's so straightforward. I don't think this needs so much debate. It is important that we allow it a second reading so that we can put it to the committee and see how we can make it richer for the purpose of benefit that it will bring to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Once again, let me commend the mover of this bill, the distinguished Senator Bukar, for a job well done. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, Senator Leader. I agree with you, but let's just quickly take a few comments and then go to the prayers. Senator Kwankwaso, Senator Gobre, and Engineer Baribe, they will go to the prayers.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Rabi Musa Bonkasor, representing Resumption. Mr. President, while I am not bitterly against this bill, I just want to caution my colleagues that I believe that there are so many parastatals in this country, to the extent that so much money is being spent on them, and I believe very many of them are not producing concrete results. We have seen so many research institutions, some of them even under my committee, which ordinarily, Mr. President, shouldn't have been allowed to exist. Most of the problems that we have today in this country do not require any research. I don't believe that our situation as it is now, we need any research institute to tell us that our roads are bad, or to tell us the sort of materials that we have to use, and so on and so forth. And Mr. President, even under that circumstance of their existence, when some of these projects are being initiated and executed, you even hardly remember them. And these are parastatals that consume a lot of money in terms of overhead cost and of course the current expenditure every year. And those institutes are consuming such monies to the extent that the real action, thus in this case the repair of roads and construction of new ones, are becoming almost impossible. The 8 billion naira that we have seen here, Mr. President, would have gone a long way in repairing our roads in this country. And of course, there are so many similar parastatals or such institutes that do exist, especially if you look at our budget. So while I am not bitterly against it, I just want to caution that we need to do the right thing at the right time. I believe that establishing or supporting or sustaining such institutes at this particular time should be secondary, because we have got primary things to be done in this country. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Gabriel.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues. First, I would like to thank the mover of this bill, because it is a very important bill. In fact, we need to go into the history of the establishment of this institution to understand how well it has performed. As you know, the institution was established in 1978, and since then it has been doing very well in Qatar. We visited the site, and we saw exactly the kind of things they do in that area with Professor Matawa. First, they have been at the forefront of coming up with researches on construction materials. I remember they have been able to come up with the research of slag cement so that they can be able to produce a different kind of cement, for building in Nigeria. And we have checked that one, it was tested, it was very good. And they are also using the copper slag, steel slag, to produce that cement. Then on the issue of also other building materials, because they have protection, even the machines, the nationalists are also produced. Research is being done to construct those machines, and now we have seen those machines. The machines are cheaper than the ones that you can import. So in that area, I would say that certainly the institution is helping to bring down the cost of protection machineries in this country. Then there is also the issue of skill acquisition. They are also producing and construction skill acquisition centers in this country in so many areas. And I remember they were do one in Badaba, they have done one somewhere in the west, and I think when we saw the prototype, it's also very good. They are doing so much. The only thing that is remaining is for the Ministry of Science and Technology to harness all the inventions of some of these institutes so that at least Nigeria can be better for it. So I therefore fully and heartedly support this bill, and I also solicit for its speedy passage. Thank you very much.
Okay, finally, Abadibe. Okay.
Thank you very much, President. My distinguished colleagues, I rise to also support this bill brought here by our very good friend Bukar. Yeah, the only reason why I support this is that I think that this institute, it has always been there. It's part of the 479 research institutes that Nigeria has, for which we don't have any single reason to say that this institute is doing well. So if by this panel beating that we're doing now to make sure that we can give them a better focus. We can find out how much they can contribute to the economy. Then I support it. Because if you look here, you will see that we have allocated 8.4 billion to them. And all the years, because the first time I heard about this thing, this particular NBRRI was, I think it was in 1980 when I was looking for where to live in Lagos, and the landlady that I met that time was working in this institute, and I never knew that they had any such thing. But from that time, 1980 till now, there is nothing you can say that this institute has brought to the country, whether it is in the way that we make roads, whether it is in the building codes that we use or anything. So if there's any way we can make our institutes, our research institutes, to do the work for which they have been set up, we are all for it. And so I support that we will take this bill to the committee responsible and go ahead and make sure that we give them the teeth that they need to be able to do well. I so support.
All right, thank you, very distinguished colleagues. I've also noted the point made by Senator Kwankwaso. I think it's also good for the federal government to do an audit of all the research institutions we have in Nigeria to be sure that they are still relevant, and then determine whether they are productive. If they are relevant and not productive, find out why they are not. But I think the research and development is a key component of every organization that is forward-looking. So we have to continue to promote research and development in Nigeria, because this is an age of ideas. It's ideas that rule the world, and the ideas can only come through research, and then research follows the development. So I believe that this bill is proper, but the government needs also to look at all the existing research institutes and ensure that we are not just wasting our time, that they are being put in the proper use for which they were established, and if they are not relevant, let us abrogate them. For those who are relevant, we fund them and ensure that they are productive. So let me also commend Senator Bukar for bringing up this bill, and to thank you for finding time to do your legislative duties in spite of your recent health challenges. And I wish you an early recovery, and thank you for also doing all that you can to ensure that you represent your constituency well, and then be able to serve the country through some of these legislative activities. So I want to thank you again. So distinguished colleagues, those who support that this bill be read the second time, say aye. Those against saying nay, the ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute and for matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading, taken and referred to the Committee on Housing and Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to report back in 4 weeks. Senate Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Polytechnic Daura, Katsina State Establishment ETC Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, the 11th day of April 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Mustapha Bukar, the Madawaki of Daura, to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Senator Bukar.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I move the motion to present to this hallowed chamber the lead debate on Federal Polytechnic Daura Establishment ETC Bill 2017 SB 455. I so move. Okay, thank you. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, we all know that education is the bedrock of every modern society. The existence of a sound and robust industrialized system in any country is based on the availability of qualified and well-trained technicians. Polytechnic education plays a vital role in the human resource development of the country by creating skilled manpower, enhancing industrial productivity, and improving the quality of life. Thus, the need to have a more strong technical system in our educational sector that shall continuously produce well-qualified and trained engineers, technicians, and artisans who will impact their acquired knowledge and skills in the development of the immediate community and the country at large. This trend has promoted the rapid socio-economic development of many nations. The bill for the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic Daura was read for the first time in this House chamber on Wednesday, 11th of April 2017. My highly distinguished colleagues, it is pertinent to remind you of the recommendation of the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund report presented on Tuesday, 23rd January 2018 on the establishment of tertiary institutions in the country. The committee recommended that each state of the Federation should have at least one federal university, one polytechnic, and one federal college of education. The Kaduna State, as per this recommendation, lacks a federal polytechnic. The establishment of this institution in Kaduna North Senatorial District is inspired by the importance to create more access to higher technical education in view of the large number of qualified candidates who are annually stranded in their attempts to gain admission into higher institutions in this part of the country. The zone is made up of 12 local governments out of the 34 local governments of the Kaduna State and has no single tertiary institute. Since the desire of government in setting up federal polytechnics is for the twin goals of academic excellence as well as meeting the manpower requirements of the national economy, the educational objectives will be seen largely in the institution's attempt to produce competent higher and lower technicians and professionals in the various fields. In fact, the educational system in Nigeria said that people like to acquire degrees, but the artisans, the hand-based, those people who really do the good work, the skills that are needed in this world are not necessarily produced by universities, but by polytechnics. And therefore, encouragement of polytechnic education, I think, is really something that is very important. The objective of the polytechnic shall be to provide full-time or part-time courses of instruction and training in technology, applied science, commerce and management, and in such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of Nigeria in the area of industrial and agricultural production and distribution, and for research in the development and adaptation of technologies that the Council may from time to time determine. And to arrange conferences, seminars, study groups relative to the fields of learning. To strive for excellence in the education through accepted curricula that is designed to produce graduates that are morally and academically sound. Apart from creating more employment opportunities for the unemployed youth, the Polytechnic will also serve as an alternative for young secondary school leavers in the zone, state, and the country at large with relevant skills and competence. With this, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I therefore urge you to support the expedient passage of this bill. The financial compendium for the establishment of the Federal Polytechnic is attached to years, and that is about 2.2 billion naira. I so move, Mr. President, and thank you.
All right, Senator, one question.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Rabi Musa, representing Resumption. Mr. President, it's time to support the bill, especially that comes from this very, very important constituency today, which is represented by my brother Madaki. But while seconding Mr. President, I want to draw our attention to the realities of education today in this country. We have seen federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education where facilities are being overstretched. We have seen halls that were designed to take, say, 50 students. Now you have 2, 3, 4 times that number, thereby forcing the students to be standing on the windows or sitting on the floor of those facilities. And of course, we have seen lack of facilities, especially teaching and learning equipment in these tertiary institutions. Mr. President, while I am responding this, I want to urge the federal government to do whatever it can to ensure those deficiencies are being covered while we are establishing new tertiary institutions. Well, it's not only the challenges of the tertiary institutions, so also the unity schools. The fees in these universities and even secondary schools are so high, Mr. President, to the extent that so many people in my constituency are finding it extremely difficult to pay for the children to go to unity schools and even the tertiary institutions. So while we are talking of expanding and building more tertiary institutions, I think this is the time for all of us to support the federal government to ensure that the existing tertiary institutions are being properly funded. And not only funded, Mr. President, I believe that there are so many issues of leakages in these tertiary institutions. And government, especially the legislative arm of government, must do whatever it can to ensure that these leakages are being blocked up so that monies can go to where they are budgeted so that we can improve our facilities in all the federal government institutions in this country, especially the educational institutions. Thank you. I so support Mr. President.
All right, I think this is also straightforward. But let me just make a little remark regarding what Senator Kwankwaso said, the cost of education. Education nevertheless can never be cheap, because any cheap education also produces cheap results. I think what responsible governments do is to provide funds for students who cannot afford to pay the competitive cost of going to school. So I think that it is also important that we look at that aspect of our educational funding, ensuring that we have scholarships, we have grants, and then have students' loans, so that those who desire to go to school will have to go to school in spite of the cost of going to school. So that's, I think, what we need to do to ensure that our schools are also well established and with the proper teachers and researchers. So it is important that we have enough schools, but it's also important that everybody will have opportunity of going to those schools, and the only way to have an opportunity of going to schools to have, some alternative funding arrangements which students can have access to enable them to pay school fees and then maintain themselves at schools. So having said this, I would like to congratulate again Senator Bukar for drawing attention to the fact that there's no polytechnics no federal polytechnics in Katsina State. And we have resolved there that we'll try as much as possible to ensure that the polytechnics, federal universities, and federal college of education are established, at least one in each state. So now that there is no federal polytechnics in Katsina, it makes sense that this Senate will support the establishment of one federal polytechnics, more so in Katsina North Senatorial District, where there's no federal institution, from what Senator Bukar said. But let me also draw your attention that this is the Senatorial District of our own President Muhammad Buhari. So this Senate will be very happy to ensure that this university is established in honor of our President. And I want to further recommend to the committee that will process this bill to also consider naming this politics after our President. as a testament that it was established when he was head of state. So thank you. Yes.
Distinguished colleagues, I understand we have closed debate on this particular bill. But I want to inform us that similar bills like this, calling for establishment of polytechnics, colleges of education across the nation, have been passed on this floor. I'm also aware that this is from the President's own place. I pray that in establishing this, they will bring federal character into beer so that if you are putting one in Daura, Mustapha, the one in Ekeremo, the one in Taraba, the one in Kebi should be taken into consideration so that let this not pass expeditiously as if there were no other bills passed in respect of establishing schools. That's the information I want.
So those support that this bill the second time say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Like us Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Daura, Katsina State, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other field of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of the Polytechnic 2018 second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Daura, Katsina State, to provide full-time courses in technology, applied science, management, and other field of studies, and to make provisions for the general administration of the Polytechnic's 2018 second reading checking. I refer to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back in 4 weeks. Sally.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleague. Let me seize this opportunity to draw the attention of my brother, distinguished Senator Buacha, to the fact that they have superintended a regime that used to sit down in Villa and establish universities at their backyard without having recourse to the parliament. That this one is doing it in his state with having recourse to its representative should be a commendable effort. Thank you, sir. The third order of the day is the resumption of the adjunct consideration of the report of the Committee on Land Transport, Marine, Aviation on National Transport Commission Bill. Distinguished senators will recall that the consideration of the report at the Committee of the Whole was deferred at clause 8 and referred back to the Joint Committee for further legislative action on Thursday, the 22nd day of February 2018. Mr. President, the information available to me is that the committee was unable to meet because the Chairman Senate Committee on Aviation is on an assignment in Jeddah from the Senate. So I would like to apply to stand down this matter to another legislative day, and I so move, sir.
Honorable Leader.
Yeah, Mr. President, I rise to second that we stand down this item for another day.
Dear colleagues, those in support of the motion that will stand this particular item to another legislative day say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Thank you. Say leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, the fourth order of the day is a House bill for concurrence on the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria establishment, ETC Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will record that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 20th day of December 2017. Mr. President, may I lead the debate on the bill?
Go ahead.
Mr. President and distinguished senators, thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate on the general principle of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018 from the House of Representatives for our concurrence. You will recall that this bill was read the first time on Wednesday, the 20th day of December 2017. The bill essentially seeks to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, and enact the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy in Nigeria. The objective of the bills are: one, to ensure that the inherent flaws in the principal act are eliminated, to ensure a legal framework for a council to effectively regulate the profession in line with global best practices, streamline the provisions of the principal act which appears to be in conflict with other enactments or laws. To enable the Council, in conjunction with law enforcement agencies, regulate the conduct of pharmacy technicians, patent medicine vendors, and pharmaceutical marketers in Nigeria. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the Pharmacists Council under this bill is committed to carry out professional competence requirement as a key part of ensuring the maintenance of professional and ethical standards for all registered practitioners in Nigeria. It also seeks to enthrone professionalism over quackery and thwarting, as well as enhancing appropriate standards, ethical conduct, and training and retraining of practitioners in Nigeria. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, under the bill, the Council is empowered to, among other things, 1. Regulate the standard of pharmacy practice and business in Nigeria, determine the standard of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of pharmacy profession, and review such standards from time to time. Determine and set standards for the degree courses in faculties of pharmacy in Nigeria. Determine and set standards for degree courses in all the Nigerian universities. Establish requirement and standard for registration of intern pharmacists for internship and any other experience training to enable a person to obtain practical experience in the practice of pharmacy. Establish requirement for the grant of license to intern pharmacists to undergo internship training, engage in the practice of pharmacy in an approved institution under the direct supervision of registered pharmacists. Establish and maintain a register of persons entitled to practice as members of the pharmacy profession and publish the list of members from time to time for the benefit of the public. Approve, license, and regulate the registration and practice for operation in all pharmaceutical premises where drugs, medicine, and poisons are manufactured, imported, exported, distributed, stored, dispensed, or sold in Nigeria, excluding the GMT activities in the manufacturing sector. Mr. President and my respected colleagues, this is not controversial bill, having been through rigorous scrutiny and public hearing in the House of Representatives. I am therefore of the opinion that I will solicit your support for this bill to pass second reading. I so move. Thank you, sir.
Dear colleagues, don't support that this bill be read second time. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Back of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and reenact the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for other related matters, 2018, second reading.
Very distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for other related matters 2018, second reading. Take. Still leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 811A, I will move a motion for the bill to be referred to the Committee of the Whole, and I so move that.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion that Senate resolves the Committee of the Whole to discuss this bill, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. All right, any comment? Right, those in support that clause 1 step out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Clause 2 and 3. Those in support that clauses 2 and 3 step out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 4. Those in support that clause 4 step out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 5, 6, 7, and 8. And 9. Those support that they step out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 10, 11, and 12. Those support that clauses 10, 11, and 12 step out of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those in support that stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 17, 18, and 19. Those in support that clause 17, 18, and 19 at page 12 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 20 and 21 at page 13. Those in support that clauses 20 and 21 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 22, 23, 24, and 25 at page 15. Those support that the stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 26, 27, 28 at page 16. Those support that the stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 29, 30, 31, and 32 at page 17. Those support that the stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 33 and 34 at page 18. Those support that stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 35 and 36 at page 19. Those support that stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 37 and 38. Those support that clause 37 and 38 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 39, 40, and 41. Those support that stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 42, 43 at page 24. Those support that clauses 42 and 43 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 44, 45, 46. Those support 45. Yes, Mr. Jubril.
You cannot see the agreement. You can't see it.
Mr. President, Mr. Chairman,
you cannot see it, and if you hold it, they will tell you they don't know anything about the agreement. It's only the ministry, and if you call the minister, he will tell you that the directors are not there. These are the problems that we are having.
And 6 other members appointed by the council. Mr. Chairman, I was thinking that probably there could be a qualification or requirements with respect to the membership of tribunal. The membership of tribunal, the sort of the requirement for one to be a member of the tribunal, because here it's left open.
Okay. This is a bill from the House of Representatives, so we are just here for concurrence. I'm sure that I would have gone through public hearing and all this input would have been made. So anything we do at this stage now, altering this, then we have to go back to the House of Reps.
Something is wrong, like this. I think there's a fundamental. Well, I'm not questioning your suggestion, Mr. Chairman, but I think there's something fundamentally wrong here. When you say people are appointed, there should be the normal thing is that there should be requirement in respect to who should be appointed. But when you give a blanket, sort of arrangement, that can be abused, and somebody who is not qualified can be appointed to hold that position as stated here. But if you say there's appropriation.
Well, it's going to be difficult at this stage to make that kind of provision that who qualifies, because it's a disciplinary committee. It will depend, who is being disciplined in the circumstance. So you may not have a standard requirement in terms of who qualifies. So it may depend on who, because if, for instance, a member of the council, so you can't bring any person in the council, so they have to get somebody from outside. So it's better to leave it fluid. Yes, Senator.
We would also assume, Your Excellency, that yes, you must be qualified as a pharmacist, of senior level to be a member of this tribunal. And therefore, anything that comes up within that, there you could sit down and take that decision. But by implication, we know that you cannot just be a member of that tribunal without that qualification of being a pharmacist. Thank you, Excellency.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I make this contribution, Chairman, not because this bill is coming here for concurrence, because I think that the fact that it's for concurrence is not why if there is anything that we find wrong, we will go ahead and pass, because, if there's need for us to go back to conference, we will. But in terms of this 45-2 that my colleague is talking about, I mean, when you say the tribunal shall consist of the chairman of the council and 6 other members appointed by council, I'm not sure the fact that the qualification for appointment is not here makes this not to be. I mean, there's a chairman, there are 60, they've specified the number of people that should be appointed. The other issues of details shouldn't actually affect this particular clause, shouldn't affect us from having to pass this clause here. We don't have to include the qualification for membership or appointment into the disciplinary committee. This is just for the purpose of discipline within the council.
So you support the first. So college don't support us clause 44, 45, and 46 type of the bill say aye. You can send the ayes have it. Clause 47 and 48. Don't support that clause 47 and 48 type of the bill say aye. Those against say any the ayes have it. Clause 49 and 50 at page 29. Don't support that 49 and 50 type of the bill say aye. Those against say any the ayes have it. Clauses 51 and 52 at page 30. Don't support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 53 and 54 at page 31. Don't support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 55, 56 and 57 at page 32. Don't support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clauses 58, 59, 60 at page 33. Those support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Clause 61, 62, 63, and 64 at page 34. Those support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Clause 65, 66, 67, 63, and 69 at page 36. Those support that the start part of the bill say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Clause 70 and 71 at 37. Those support that clause 70 and 71 at the bill say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Yes, yes. Senator Oba. Clause 72. Don't support that clause 72 start part of the bill say aye. Those against the ayes have it. Schedule 1 and 2. Those support that start part of the bill say aye. Those against the also add that explanatory memorandum. Those support that explanatory memorandum at page 46 start part of the bill say aye. Those against our committee petitions to look at, and then they report back in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Long title.
Yes, resolution. Those are that this long title at page 1 start of the bill say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. Sir Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I at this stage move that the Senate will revert to plenary to report progress. I so move.
But Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do revert to plenary to report progress. I so second.
Very well, thank you, Senate Leader and Minority Leader. Dear colleagues, students support that chair now report progress, say aye. Those against saying the ayes have it. The Committee on the Whole considered the former Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2018 and approved as follows: clauses 1 to 20 as recommended, 21 to 40 as recommended, 41 to 60 as recommended, 61 to 71 as recommended, 31 and 2 as recommended, short title as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Very well, thank you. Senior Leader.
Proceedings shall commence with presentation of
Mr. President and my distinguished colleague, may I now move that the bill be read the third time? I so move.
Mr. President, dismissed colleagues, I rise to second the motion. I so second.
Dear colleagues, those in support of the motion that this bill be read the third time, say aye. Those against saying nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for other related matters 2018, third reading.
Very distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for other related matters 2018, third reading, taken and passed. Thank you. Senior Leader.
Well, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceeding on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, the 30th of March 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move that.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the leader that having concluded today's proceedings, the Senate do adjourn to Tuesday, the 13th day of March 2018. I so second.
Sorry, before I put the question, just one brief announcement. The conference committee This is a conference committee on demutualization bill earlier passed. Members are Senator Mustapha Bukar as chairman, Foster Gola as member, Mohammed Lafia as member, Mao Abong as member, Abu Ibrahim as member, John Eno as member. So the senators should meet with their counterparts in the House of Representatives for the conference. This is colleagues don't support that this Senate do now adjourn now to Tuesday, the 13th day of March 2008 at 10 a.m. prompt. Say aye. Those against saying nay. The ayes have it. Senate is accordingly adjourned.